So now the next speaker will be Matthias Steiger. He's professor for biochemistry, and he will talk about the specialization in biotechnology and bioanalytics. Yeah, we are ready to go. You have a microphone?
I have a microphone.
Okay,
I hope you
good.
can hear me. So welcome from my side. No, da ist er. Yeah, working. So welcome from my side. I will talk about this specialization, and I want to focus first on maybe what is different from the other study programs you follow here. Who of you did already the synthetic laboratory, the Syntheselabor? Great. So I'm happy that you also did it. So the question is, and we heard it before, you can do also more synthetic chemistry in other lab courses. We don't do any synthetic chemistry because we use microorganisms to synthesize it. So in our study program, you learn how to talk to these organisms and how to use their biology to make things happen. So I think this is a fundamental difference there, which also has implications on the way how we work in the lab. So I'm talking here for biotechnology and bioanalytics and want to first give you an idea of where we are moving with this field. So on the one hand, you see biotechnology is very much interlinked, of course, with other disciplines. You have here a word cloud. It has to do, of course, with science, with biology, microbiology, and medical research. And because this is that much interlinked, we also need to train you a bit, at least in those aspects. So we need to bring to your knowledge the field of microbiology. And when you followed here our bachelor in chemistry, you had, of course, some biochemistry. You had already also a lab course in biotechnology. But these were really some fundamentals there. Now in the master, we want to give you there a more solid background that you also as chemist can move into that field of the life sciences. So this is very much, you're coming from the chemistry direction, but the way is free for everyone to go there and specialize into this direction. It's never too late. Yeah? I myself have been doing a lot of chemistry at the beginning of my trainings and then moved a lot into these biological sciences. Why? Why should we do this? Because I think still the smartest chemistry we have on this planet is the chemistry which supports life. And this is that rich in knowledge, which we also don't completely fully understand. So we on the one hand have still to learn how this chemistry is working. But on the other hand, we have a lot of knowledge that we can use it smartly in technology. And you can use this then further in industry, in research, but also a lot of authorities require this knowledge and skill sets. And therefore, I want to dig a bit deeper into that. In terms of lab work, it's looking sometimes like this or that. On the one hand, you have molecular biology. And those who experienced already our lab course have seen that we are dealing with very small amounts, microliter amounts, microgram amounts, because a lot of these reagents are extremely expensive and we don't want to waste them. And on the other hand, this biology and chemistry is that efficient that you can already do this reaction on small scale and then still amplify the product of these results. So we are also working really on very small scale. We are working with microorganisms. So you need some knowledge about microbiology. And then when you have your organisms of choice, which can also produce something, then you might want to go into bioreactors. These bioreactors can have different scale. We are speaking of liter scale then, but starting from 1 liter, 5 liters, but going up to very big scale in industry. I'm talking about 600, 800 cubic meter reactors. So these are very tall, 30 meters tall bioreactors where a lot of these organisms are growing. And I mean, this is heavy industry then there. Yeah? So it's not saying that we always stay in the small scale. You can go pretty big with that in order to then really produce something. This is then typically the case when you want to produce bulk chemicals like ethanol or citric acid. But on the other hand, you have this intermediate scale, which is important for pharmaceutical companies when you think about protein production for therapeutic purposes. Then you also have an environment where you have a very clean, sterile environment, which is necessary that you can produce all these products for the medical market. Now, I'm talking about life sciences, and this life science sector is important because it's also this direction where you can then find a job in the end. And the question is, why do you get training here? In the end, you want to do something with this, and the question is, where do you do this, and which potential options are there for you? So I want to say, so we're in Austria, so we have also an Austrian business agency. And the interesting thing is we have a very active life science environment, especially here in Vienna. And the good thing is all these companies acting in this business, as they can also sometimes work in quite small scale, can also produce in the city. So for instance, Boehringer has now a quite substantial factory in the 12th district where they produce a lot, but a lot of other pharmaceutical companies are inside the city. But of course, also nothing speaks against going to Lower Austria, for instance, or to other countries, but also, of course, not to go abroad with this. But just to give you an idea, we have about 1,000 life sciences companies in Austria. This is a growing number. I just updated it in 2023. It was below 1,000. Now it's already above 1,000. It also has to do with the fact that here we see in recent years a lot of startups are coming up. And I think this is also very important to keep in mind. You are highly specialized in training after you finished here at TU. And we also want to see people from our training programs to maybe build up their own companies. Because you have special skill sets. Maybe you should have also someone from the economic side, but there it's also important to team up with people often. But with your skill sets, if you see there is no company around, but you have a very good idea what is missing in the market, then you might want to also go into that direction. And we see this a lot in the life science sectors, that a lot of startups are coming up. Of course, not every startup survives, but also some of them are already pretty successful, I have to say. A lot of employees, also publications, and also to give you some idea which players are there. And I don't want to show you all, of course, because this is hard to keep in mind, but just to put out some names of classic industry. You have pharmaceutical companies like Boehringer or Novartis. You have producers of bulk chemists like Jungpunslauer for citric acid. Agrana is a big player in the market. They produce sugar or starch, but also bioethanol. Takeda, I should have moved rather on the Novartis side. But interestingly, also companies where you don't expect there is biotechnology inside. Now my voice is gone. Sorry for that. They are moving more and more in the field because also they need to think about their product portfolio and need to change this in the future. We have research on there, of course, here at TU, other universities, research centers, and in the different authorities. Of course, to mention Umweltbundesamt and AGES, but never forget about the European Union and all these authorities around there as well. And importantly, INITS and the AWS focusing then on training afterwards when you want to build up startups. Now, moving on to our specialization. You have here those 4 blocks of modules which you have to take when you are going into these directions. We want to teach you in biochemistry and genetic engineering that you have the molecular biology right. then you need this microbiology training, so some principles in biology. So we don't teach you everything about plants. This is not a biology studies, but rather focusing on microorganisms or some cell lines which are often used in biotechnology. So very much focus the biology on that side. Then importantly, biotechnology and bioprocess engineering. So how do you run a bioreactor? How you operate this? How do you run this also then in industry? And of course, what is important, analytical biochemistry. Jürgen Fleig said it already, the Institute is contributing to a lot of study programs because we want to understand what is happening and need a deep look into this field. So especially proteomics, but also DNA sequencing, RNA sequencing or analysis is very important. And you have laboratory, sorry very much, I have to drink something. We have, of course, so hope it's better. We have laboratory courses on which I would like to focus. So here is the program list, how you find it in TIS. I think you can read it on yourself. But what I want to say and what is important, as you do not have that much training yet in microbiology, in this specialization, you have also elective modules. But these two modules are not elective, but they are fixed. So those two modules you also have to do when taking this training. And it's mainly about microbiology and this bioprocess technology and bioanalytics. Because we think there you need more training on that in order to complete it successfully. So keep that please in mind. And these are the courses corresponding to this specialization. What I think is very important when you study something, where do you have to be present? Of course, we have lectures where we hope to see you and happy to engage with you there. But of course, the lab courses are precious. It's a really opportunity because we spend a lot of money also into these lab courses to give you also state-of-the-art material in hand, and this material is precious. The time of you and our time is precious, so we have a lot of time investment into our lab courses. And I think this is also the difference when you just do a course on the internet or if you're present at the university. The lab courses make really the difference there. And here you see which lab courses we have in the winter semester or in the summer semester for you. Microbiology laboratory course or biochemical engineering course. This you can do if in both semesters. Then we have a big lab course on biochemistry, molecular biology, and biotechnology. It's organized in a way that you have individual examples where you work very freely in the lab. You have a time window where you can finish these examples, but you also are trained in organizing your work well in the lab. And then bioprocess technology and bioanalytics to give you insights also in the advances on the analytical side. And what was already mentioned by Georg before, these advanced laboratory courses, meaning that you go into the research groups and have their the individual training in the different research groups in order to be well prepared also for picking up maybe a master thesis in that or this lab. This very much depends also on your initiative to reach out. So here an idea who is behind these programs. Our program is mainly run by the Institute of Chemical, Environmental and Bioscience Engineering and the Analytical Institute, and therefore the lectures are also coming from both institutes. So for instance, Gudbjörn Grünberg is doing a lot of proteomics, Oliver Spadiot is doing bioprocess engineering. We are doing a lot of microbiology. Georg Reischer, who is here with us, is working a lot on PCR technology and analyticals of these small molecules and many more. I think this gives you an impression but I don't want to overwhelm you with this. So as I said, the Institute of Chemical, Environmental, and Bioscience Engineering is there. We are then cooperating with a lot of funding agencies, but also companies. So especially when you enter into our research labs, then you are also getting into contact with different companies on the one hand side, but also learn when you want to stay maybe in research, where do you obtain funding from? Is it from FWF? Is it FFG? Is it the COMET centers? Because this gives you an idea how the research environment in Austria or beyond is then working. And then we have, of course, the Institute of Chemical Technologies and Analytics. Also, they are very interactive in gathering their fundings together, and they also have the opportunities to reach out to a lot of other company partners. And I think this is also very important when you maybe want to search a job. Maybe you never search a job because maybe you are already quite interlinked with someone from a company during your late study program, and then you already get to know about opportunities which lead you directly, very smoothly, into the hands of a certain company. Or you stay with us, yeah? Meaning in the research environment, which is also very nice. Good. With this, I am also happy to take any questions, if there are any. Otherwise, I would hand over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matthias, also for your presentation and the interesting facts you presented. Just to add this, because it was mentioned by Matthias, you have 2 modules which you have to finish completely in every specialization. But in biochemistry and bioanalytics, you cannot choose. Yeah? This does mean you have to take these 2, but you don't have to take another module completely then. Yeah? The election is different, but not the total process.